the early 2000s, two young stars were shining bright in Hollywood. Frankie Muniz and Hilary Duff. Both were loved by millions of kids around the world. Frankie was the face of Malcolm in the Middle, a hit comedy that made him one of the biggest teen actors of that time. Hilary Duff, on the other hand, became the sweetheart of Disney Channel through Lizzie McGuire. They were both successful, talented, and young, a perfect match for a new Hollywood friendship. In 2003, the two stars came together for the action comedy movie Agent Cody Banks. Frankie played Cody, a teenage spy who lived a double life, while Hilary played Natalie, his smart and charming classmate who becomes part of his secret adventure. The film was a huge success, and their on-screen chemistry made fans believe they were close off-screen too. Frankie often praised Hilary during interviews, calling her sweet, professional, and fun to work with. Behind the scenes, they seemed like a dream team. They were constantly seen laughing between takes, doing press tours together, and representing the future of young Hollywood. Everyone thought this was the start of a strong friendship, maybe even a long-term partnership for future movies. Hollywood had high hopes for them as the next teen icons. But what people didn't know was that the movie's success would soon become the reason for their distance. Fame came fast, and with fame came tension, jealousy, and misunderstandings. After Agent Cody Banks hit the theaters, their paths began to move in very different directions. Frankie became known for his confidence and sometimes outspoken nature, while Hilary's career was being shaped carefully by Disney's image machine. By the time the movie's sequel Agent Cody Banks 2, Destination London was announced, something strange happened. Hilary Duff was not part of it. Fans were shocked. She was one of the key reasons the first film was loved, yet she didn't return. That decision marked the silent beginning of what would become a 22-year feud between two former co-stars who once seemed inseparable. At first, both stars stayed quiet about what went wrong. Hollywood rumors started spreading. Some said Hilary's management didn't want her tied to a franchise they didn't control, while others claimed that Frankie felt she had become too distant after fame. No one really knew the truth, but one thing was clear: their friendship had disappeared almost overnight, leaving fans wondering why two rising stars stopped speaking after working so well together. It wasn't the usual Hollywood breakup or tabloid scandal. It was a quiet end to what could have been one of the most successful duos of early 2000s cinema. And for the next 2 decades, the silence between Frankie Muniz and Hilary Duff would only grow louder. After Agent Cody Banks, Hilary Duff's career exploded. She became a global pop star with hits like So Yesterday and Come Clean. She starred in A Cinderella Story, Raise Your Voice, and The Perfect Man, all while maintaining her clean girl next door image. She was the face of Disney, music charts, fashion magazines, everywhere. Frankie Muniz, meanwhile, was still the lead in Malcolm in the Middle, which was winning Emmys and making him one of the highest-paid child actors in television history. But Frankie's fame felt different. He wasn't a pop idol like Hilary. He was an actor known for his sharp humor and fast success. He had fame, but not the same kind of spotlight Hilary had. As both stars became busier, their paths stopped crossing. While Hilary was performing on stage and promoting albums, Frankie was balancing acting and a growing passion for car racing. The once friendly co-stars had drifted apart naturally, but rumors suggested it wasn't just distance. Frankie had reportedly tried to stay in touch, but Hilary's new world was tightly controlled by her team and management, leaving little room for old friendships. Hollywood insiders began whispering about tension between them. Some claimed Frankie was upset that Hilary refused to return for the sequel, believing she had outgrown the franchise that helped her rise. Others said Hilary simply wanted to move on from her Disney image and didn't want to be typecast as a teen spy girl. Whatever the reason, it left Frankie feeling snubbed. As years went by, Frankie started speaking more openly about his Hollywood experience. He mentioned in interviews how fame made him lose touch with many people he once worked with, including Hilary Duff. He never spoke with anger, but his words hinted at disappointment. He once admitted he hadn't spoken to her since 23, over 2 decades of silence. Hilary, on her part, never addressed the situation directly. She focused on her music, her movies, and later, her family. To her, The Agent Cody Banks era seemed like a distant memory, but fans never forgot. Whenever they saw old clips of the two promoting the movie, they couldn't help but wonder what really happened between them. The mystery only grew deeper as the years went on, turning a simple co-star disconnect into one of Hollywood's quietest yet longest feuds. When Agent Cody Banks 2 began filming in 2004, the first big surprise was the absence of Hilary Duff. In her place was a new actress, Hannah Spirit. Fans were disappointed, and even the press asked Frankie repeatedly why Hilary didn't return. He simply said, "They went in a different direction." But those who knew him say that answer was loaded with emotion. Frankie had expected Hilary to join the sequel. After all, they had built the first film's success together. But the decision not to return hit him hard. The chemistry that made Agent Cody Banks so popular was gone, and so was the friendship that had formed during filming. Industry insiders whispered that behind closed doors, Frankie felt betrayed, that Hilary had moved on too quickly, as if the movie that made them a hit duo meant nothing to her. Hilary's camp, however, saw it differently. She was only 15 when she filmed the first movie, and by the sequel, her schedule was packed with music tours, Disney projects, and a new romantic comedy. Her mother and manager wanted to steer her toward bigger, family-friendly films where she could shine as the lead, not as a side character in a spy franchise. The sequel underperformed compared to the original, and some blamed Hilary's absence. Frankie did his best to keep the franchise alive, but without his original co-star, the charm was missing. For Frankie, that movie became a reminder of how fragile Hollywood relationships can be. One project, one decision, and everything changes. Years later, in interviews, Frankie mentioned that he hadn't spoken to Hilary in over 22 years. His tone wasn't angry, just sad, as if the silence had become something he'd accepted. "We never had a fight," he said once. "We just stopped talking." Yet, that very silence became the story that fans couldn't stop talking about. Their feud wasn't about public insults or scandals. It was about two young stars who started as friends, got swept up by fame, and never found their way back. As time passed, Frankie Muniz and Hilary Duff took completely different paths. Both successful, yet shaped by very different choices. Frankie stepped away from acting and pursued his dream of becoming a professional race car driver. It was a bold move for someone who had once been Hollywood's most promising young actor. He joined real racing competitions, drove in serious events, and made a name for himself outside the entertainment world. But along the way, he also faced serious accidents and injuries that made him question everything. He revealed years later that he suffered memory problems after multiple concussions. Some fans were shocked when he admitted he could barely remember filming Malcolm in the Middle, the show that made him famous. While he didn't talk much about Agent Cody Banks, it was clear that his Hollywood chapter was fading behind him. He wasn't chasing fame anymore. He was chasing peace, normalcy, and a new identity. Meanwhile, Hilary Duff was busy reinventing herself. After her music career peaked, she shifted toward mature roles and became a symbol of how a Disney star could grow up gracefully. She starred in movies like Cheaper by the Dozen and Material Girls, and later made her big TV comeback with Younger, a hit series that showed her in a completely new light. Hilary had become a mother, a businesswoman, and an advocate for healthy fame. While Hilary's journey was steady, Frankie's was rocky. He went from racing to managing a music band, from living in the spotlight to running a small shop in Arizona. He lived a quiet life, often reflecting on how Hollywood fame didn't guarantee happiness. Fans noticed that he never posted pictures or memories with Hilary. The silence between them had lasted so long that it became its own kind of story, one that fans kept bringing up every time Agent Cody Banks resurfaced online. The early 2000s nostalgia era brought both stars back into the public eye. TikTok and Instagram users shared clips from their movie, reminding the world of the chemistry they once had. But Frankie and Hilary never interacted, not even with a simple comment or like. 20 years had passed, and the two people who once shared a blockbuster film couldn't be further apart. Their feud wasn't built on public drama. It was built on lost time. And for Frankie, that distance symbolized how fame can build walls even between people who once shared the same dream. In 2023, fans were stunned when Frankie Muniz finally broke his silence about Hilary Duff. During an interview promoting a nostalgia event, he was asked if he still kept in touch with any of his old co-stars, including Hilary. Frankie smiled softly and said, "I haven't spoken to Hilary in 22 years. The interviewer looked surprised, asking if something bad had happened. Frankie replied, "Not really. Sometimes people just drift apart. I think we were in different worlds." That single comment went viral. Headlines appeared everywhere. Frankie Muniz reveals he hasn't spoken to Hilary Duff in over 20 years. Social media exploded with fans reminiscing about Agent Cody Banks and begging for a reunion. Many fans tagged Hilary on Instagram, hoping she would respond, but Hilary stayed quiet, just like she always had. Some fans defended her, saying she was just living her life and probably didn't even realize how much the silence meant to Frankie. Others believe she avoided addressing it because she didn't want to stir drama. Whatever the reason, her silence added more mystery to their story. Behind the headlines, Frankie's comment revealed something deeper, nostalgia mixed with sadness. He wasn't blaming Hilary. He was simply acknowledging how Hollywood friendships often vanish. Fame, schedules, and life move too fast for bonds to last. Frankie's words were honest, and that's why fans connected with them so deeply. Meanwhile, Hilary was focusing on her family, her show How I Met Your Father, and her growing business ventures. She rarely talked about her early 2000s days, except when reflecting fondly on Lizzie McGuire. It was as if Agent Cody Banks belonged to a part of her life she had neatly packed away. Yet, the internet wouldn't let go. The story of their 22-year silence kept resurfacing every few months. Clips of them together during 23 interviews went viral again and again. The way they smiled, joked, and looked comfortable around each other reminded fans of a time when Hollywood felt more innocent. The world had changed, but one question remained. Would Frankie Muniz and Hilary Duff ever reconnect? Now, more than 20 years after Agent Cody Banks, fans still hold on to hope that Frankie Muniz and Hilary Duff might one day reconnect. Not for a movie, but for closure. Their story isn't filled with hate or betrayal. It's about time, distance, and how fame can quietly erase the closest bonds. Frankie has found peace in his life. He's married, a father, and content living away from Hollywood's spotlight. But whenever he talks about his past, fans can feel the warmth in his tone, especially when he remembers the early 2000s, when everything felt new. He doesn't carry bitterness, only nostalgia. Hilary, too, has grown into a strong, grounded woman who seems at peace with her past. She's a mother, a successful actress, and one of the few child stars who survived Hollywood with her dignity intact. She doesn't often talk about her old co-stars, but those who know her say she has no ill will toward anyone. She simply moved forward. The 22-year feud between Frankie and Hilary isn't a dramatic war. It's a quiet one. It's about how life sometimes separates people who once shared something special. There was no fight, no betrayal, just time and silence. But that silence became its own kind of heartbreak. If there's one thing Hollywood loves, it's a full circle moment. And perhaps one day, when the timing is right, Frankie and Hilary will cross paths again. Maybe at an event, maybe during a reunion special. If that day comes, it won't just be two old co-stars meeting again. It'll be two people who survived fame, grew up, and learned that some connections, even after decades of silence, never truly disappear. Their story reminds everyone of something powerful. Not all feuds are about hate. Some are about the distance life creates when people chase different dreams. And sometimes, that distance lasts for years, until one day, the right moment brings everything full circle again. The world still waits for that moment, when Frankie Muniz and Hilary Duff finally break their 22-year silence and remind fans why their story began with friendship in the first place.